All right, so we're here at Wellington Gate, and this is where I used to live once my first marriage ended. I eventually ended up here, but I'm gonna give a quick backstory. So we're in Northeast Baltimore City. Now, I used to live not too far from here with my wife at the time, which was Nolita, Ditto's mom. Um, the backstory is when I first made amends with her by letter, apologized for my offenses. She was so fed up at that time, from what I remember. She was saying, like, you can take you and your son. So, packed up my car, went to my Aunt Vet's house, which is out in Baltimore County. So, I stayed there for some time. Uh, and there were two things that happened in my life that were pretty significant conversations that gave me a clear understanding that my family members who were speaking to me at those times believed in who I was, that I can go off and be independent and self sufficient. So the first conversation, which is kind of sidebar, is when I was in junior college and I had a doctor's appointment. I was playing football, of course, and I asked my mom to write me a letter to excuse me from my absence from my football practice. And my mom said, I'm not doing that. You know, you old enough, you can have a direct conversation with your coach. I knew at that point she had enough faith in what she put in me that I can have that conversation confidently without getting any quote unquote permission slip from her. The second conversation that's more relevant is in my Aunt Vet. There was a time I think we stayed with her, Ditto and I stayed with her for a year. And he was back and forth between me and his mom. And there was a point where we came to the table and she said to me, hey, it's time for y'all to leave. You know, you can do this on your own. You don't need to stay here. I don't want to continue to be a crutch for you. I was in my feelings at first initially, but at that point, I realized I had to do what I had to do. So I moved, check this out. I actually moved across from Johns Hopkins University's campus in what we call an efficiency or studio. So it was like literally probably the size of both of y'all rooms together. It didn't have a kitchen. It was just a bathroom that I used like a kitchen. And I had to buy like the frying pan to cook the food on. And it was like an all-in-one bathroom. So it was a box. So I ended up moving out of there because they were renovating. And that's when I came here to Wellington Gate. So I'll just take you guys to a tour of where I lived in Wellington Gate so you can have some dialogue. All right, so 2401 Bridgehampton Drive. I actually lived on this top floor right now. And moving from a box to this kind of space, man, I was in heaven, you know, because I had a real kitchen, a real dining room, living room area. The room in the back here, this room right here, has the the bathroom in the particular room, and it's a full bath. Unfortunately, I had a mice problem, so called the maintenance guy and said, "Hey, you know, we got these mice in here," and he came over with some traps. I said, "No, we're not doing traps. So you mean you want me to sit in here with a mouse stuck on the trap?" So I took these coils. They look like Brillo pads almost, and I used to stuff them as much as I can through where the mice was coming in. And I boarded it up. I didn't have a problem after that. But yeah, this is where we stayed, man. We a lot of worship music playing throughout the day uh, to create the atmosphere. Um, yeah, by the time I got here, I was locked into the church. doing a lot of church work. Um, this is where the ministry stuff started for me after this experience. But yeah, it's where it was, man.